Hello there, this is Anthony on Book Talk. And at Book Talk, we get to have an author come and tell us about his book or her book. And today is an interesting day, really interesting. You're gonna like this because we have a guest with us who's been there, done that, and is still moving. And she's saying, when you retire is not a time to expire. And in the studio today, we have with us one great guest who is known as Julie Sursok. Welcome to the show, Julie.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Anthony.
Yes.
Delighted to be here, all the way from Sydney.
All the way from Sydney. We are honored to have you on our show. And we are going to get to know much more about the books that you've written and you continue to write, even when you are in your senior age.
That's right. It all starts now. It all starts as we get older.
This is when it starts. So,
Yes.
so for you who is watching there, if you're a senior, this is your show. If you have a family member who is a senior, this again is your show. You should make sure that they watch them this show with you, or you send them all the books that we are going to be talking about. Buy them some copies, and I know you love them, and they will love it. They will love it. And also, don't forget that you're also going to be a senior at some point. So if you're not a senior, if you don't have a senior in your family, still this is your show. Stay tuned. We are going to have a great ride with Julie. Now, before we get started, I would like to just mention a few things about Julie. And Julie is a mother, a wife, and she's a grandmother. And what she's talking about, the books that she's written are entitled, I Am Now Called a Senior, and subtitles with them. She's gonna tell us about the different subtitles that she has and the one she plans to write in the future. And for many people, they say that when you retire, that's the end of it. Not for Julie.
You're absolutely
So before I enjoy, yeah, absolutely. But please tell us a bit more about you, where you're from, what you've done along the line, and we get to experience much of your life with you.
I've had an interesting life, I must say.
Yeah.
Well, I was born in South Africa. You can hear I've got a bit of a sort of a hybrid accent, a bit Aussie, a bit South African. We had a wonderful life in South Africa. We had a beautiful network of friends. We were successful business owners. Our family was all there, and life was ticking along beautifully. And one day we got home from a grocery shop, and our son called in from the family room and said, Mom, please can you come and help me turn on the TV set? And we said, he was young, but we said, you know how to turn on the television set, you go and turn it on.
Yeah.
And he said, no, come here. And we went through there and we walked through to our family room, and the whole house had been invaded. And we'd had a really nasty home invasion. Everything was stolen. Our TV was stolen, our furniture stolen, clothes, everything was stolen. And it actually just rattled us. We were just like a bit rattled. And we thought, we've got the opportunity of moving and experiencing another country. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a go. So with our two children and my husband and I, we immigrated to Australia, left it all behind. And that was hard. You start a whole, you're wiping the slate clean. We didn't know anybody in Australia. We'd left our family behind. We'd left our homeland behind, our business, everything. We'd left our finances behind, and we started a new life in Australia. And things were different. You think it's the same, but it's sort of not the same.
Yeah, I understand. It can't be the same. I mean, it's not easy always to. I've had challenges moving from one house to the next in the same town. So I understand what is moving from one. I have a clue what is moving from one country to the next with your entire family.
It's huge because you just don't have. Nobody knows your history. And if you talk too much about your history, people think, oh, you might be a little bit sort of like full of yourself. So you just keep it. I was involved in the entertainment industry. I recorded a number of records in South Africa, and I was contracted to EMI. So I was involved in that sort of career as well. But you arrive in Australia and then you invite people around for tea, for instance. Now, tea in Australia is lamb chops and vegetables. But we thought tea was tea and cake. so it's things like that. It's little things like that that are just very different. And much as we tried really hard to fit in, we found it difficult. So we decided to move to Brisbane and start there. And we were so hot in Brisbane. We like sprung a leak. It was terribly hot at that stage. And we were not really that happy. And we said, do we go back? Or do we actually still try and stick it out for a while? And we thought, well, I said to my husband, go down, drive to Sydney and just find your sunshine. I'll stay here and you see what will make you tick there. So he did, and he stayed in a boarding house in not a great area. And in that boarding house, there was a magazine. And the magazine opened up, and it actually was the business. It was a guy who had a business in Australia that did exactly what we had done in South Africa.
Okay.
So he just fronted up to the business, and he said to them, listen, he said, I'm good at what I do. Don't pay me anything, just pay me a commission and I will grow your business for you. And this guy took the chance. I mean, it took a lot of guts to do that. He walked in, he did get the job, and we built the business, and then we jumped off into our own business, and we built up the largest magazine show bag business in Australia. Now, I don't know if you know what show bags are, but it's very endemic to Australia. What happens is you get together a whole lot of products in a bag, and then it's worth sort of $50 and you pay $5 for it. So it's a way of suppliers getting their products into people's hands to try, to see if they like. And we were in that business through all the shows. You'd go to these shows and there'd be Ferris wheels and lights and fairy floss and eating hamburgers. And it was a wonderful lifestyle. We were in that lifestyle for many years. But after a time, it takes its toll. And, you know, like we've all been in this COVID situation, you say, you know, you're flattening your curve. Well, we were fattening the curve. We were not doing well. We were getting arthritic and tired and long hours and lots of travel. And with our children, it was difficult. So we decided to sell the business. Okay. And just before when it was time for the people who were purchasing the business to buy and for us to go and get product for the following year, it was they decided not to buy, and it was too late for us to get product for the following year, and we had to close the business down. So there we are now. We're exactly in the same position we were in when we were in our 30s, when we immigrated, but this time we're in our 60s and our 70s. And it's like, whoa, okay, now what? Now we've shut down a business. We've got all this debt from shutting down a business. And now we sort of are retired. But retired? You know, retired, we weren't ready for retirement. What is it? Is there a roadmap for this? Do they tell us, you know, what to do when we're retired? I mean, you're taught that you know, oh, when you retire, you're going to be getting into this lovely gray convertible and you'll be sailing around the beaches and drinking champagne on the beach, riding camels and sliding down these rainbows where you've invested so incredibly well and you've got all this money at the end of the day. But it's not like that. It's not like that. You suddenly look at yourself and you think, am I old? But you're struggling to open cans. You're struggling to, when you pick up things, you stay down there a little bit longer so you can pick up everything else you need to pick up at the same time. You know, you wait to open your electricity bills. You've got to learn hashtag languages. You look at all the now it's hashtag. What's a hashtag? We don't know what hashtag, What is the hashtag? We don't know what hashtag. What's this cloud? You know, everyone says it's in the cloud. Where is the cloud? We don't know where. I mean, I do know now where the cloud is, but for us seniors, it's like a whole new language. It's all so new. But what happened is we actually said, let's take a breath. Let's work out what is our passion. You know, let's not chase the pension. Let's chase the passion. Let's try and find out what.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
you know,
just what can make us tick when we're older. And I was very observant because I looked at all these elderly people. Some are terribly lonely.
Yeah.
And they just don't know. They wake up every morning and they say, now, what should we do today? This is, where is the purpose? How do you even find a purpose? You're older, and where do you go? Where do you find this purpose? How do you even find it? So I observed it all and I thought, you know what? I'm going to find my purpose, and I am going to then help others find their purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show them that this is not the end. Retirement is not the end.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I'm going to write a book. Now, you know how many people our age say, I'm going to write a book.
I've had tons and tons of people who say, I'm going to write a book.
Yes.
But definitely not in their 60s and 70s.
Well, nearly 70s, nearly 70s.
And 70s.
I've had a bit of help here, I have to say.
Yeah.
The Greys have had a little bit of help.
Okay, that's good also. Yeah.
But it's write a book. Only apparently 1% of people who want to write a book actually do. And I thought, if you're going to write a book, you need to write what you know.
Yeah.
Because if you write what you know, it really comes across as being raw and authentic, and people will hear you because they will identify with what you've experienced.
Exactly.
And I've got entrepreneurial skills. I can sing, I play the piano, I can do all those things. But what do I really know? I really know, and I'm a senior, and I really know that it's stiff when I get out of bed. And I really know that I've banished my husband to the second bedroom because he snores. You really know the stuff. You know that all kinds of things that we're experiencing together. We know about virtual babysitting. We know that the grandchildren are popped in front of the iPad when it's dinner time so that Gaga can entertain them.
Yeah.
But that's happening everywhere. It's not just us. All these seniors are experiencing the same things. So I thought, I'm going to write a book. And then you think, oh, can I really do this? How do you do this? Do you go and step up and go to an agent? And do you say to them, okay, go get out to all the publishers and put in front of the publishers? And then you've got somebody who's 20 who's reading your script. They don't understand being a senior.
Yeah.
I understand being a senior,
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm going to research this. And then you go onto Google and thousands of things come through and you think, well, who do I follow? What do I do with all of this?
How did you find Google?
Well, Google gives you a lot of information, and you have to be very careful with Google because it becomes our doctor when you get older, because you have some little thing that's wrong and you go onto Google and then you're definitely dying. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
You've got a sniff, but it's not. It's something terrible. So so that was Google. And then I started the journey of discovering how to do it, and I did it. And I've got a whole, you query, you say, am I going to fail? And then, am I an imposter? And, is it too late to bloom? Am I ready to do this? And your mind plays these games on you all the time because they say, you can't do it. And then you've got to say, yes, I can do it. And then you start and you're sort of timid in the beginning, and then you get better. And then you learn how to use the computer and how to use Scrivener. And then I decided I'm not going to even send it to a publisher.
Yeah.
I'm going to work out how to do this myself. I'm going to self-publish.
Wonderful.
And so I went to a school.
Yeah.
But the school happened to be in the States.
Okay.
So all the lectures and things were like at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. Like I'm like this. I'm sitting in my PJs, and I've got my poor husband who's so supportive, sitting there taking notes. I'm trying to concentrate on all this stuff going on, but I've followed through step by step by step by step. And I learned what to do. And I learned also that, self-publishing used to have a really large stigma to it, but it doesn't anymore.
No,
things have really changed. It's like Netflix is taken away from four wallers. It's like things have changed.
Yeah,
and you have huge authors like, you know, Margaret Atwood and the one who did 50 Shades of Grey and all, you know, there were a lot of authors who did go that route or have or still do, and have been successful. And I learned how to do that, and then I got both my books to #1 bestseller in their categories on Amazon. So I learned.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. First and foremost, let me tell you that to be at your age right now, which is 60, 70, going to 70, is such a blessing. You're such a big blessing. Now, this other thing that you come and do to the society, which is giving back to the society that you have enjoyed, is such a big blessing to us. So we really appreciate. And not only those people who are seniors right now, but those who are anticipating or dreaming to be seniors someday. And now you've come and written 2 books. This is just wonderful. And it's talking about the life of a senior, which many could not have. You know, one thing that I have experienced in people's lives is that they go, I mean, you lose. Someone said that when you win, I mean, when you lose because of something that you don't know. When you win because of something you know. And there are many people who are going through sad times in their senior years just because they don't have the information of how to go about it, or they don't have the stories to share with those who have gone through it. And so they identify themselves and say, oh, so I'm not alone, so I can live better. And this is such a wonderful thing. And now you came up with 2 books. Which, I mean, let's start with the first book that you wrote. Continue from there. Which is it?
Well, the first book I wrote was called I'm Now Called a Senior, WTF.
Oh.
So there it is there. Now, that was polarizing to some.
Okay.
You know, 99% of people laughed out loud at the subtitle. It's moving from retire to inspire, because everybody thinks what the title says, but they don't say it. So I say, okay, words, thoughts, feelings. I'm Now Called a Senior, words, thoughts, feelings.
Oh yeah, because someone could have seen that the title with the WTF and say, oh, so what?
What does it mean?
So it's what? Thoughts,
words,
and
thoughts,
feelings.
and feelings.
Oh,
that's
okay.
right.
Thank you for that.
and it covers a lot of things like, you know, we're at the age where if we live in our homes, do we downsize? And if we downsize, do we downsize in our area, or do we downsize in another area? And does that mean that you've got to start all over again in your community? Because as you get older, community is such a big thing. People are lonely and they need to join clubs or have interests where they, even if it's just painting or stuff like that, you don't have to be, in some of my talks, people come and they ask me a question and they say, you know, you come across as being extremely successful, but we don't want to be authors, or we just want to be happy. But you can be happy, even if it's just simplicity, even if it's just meditation, even if it's just sitting watching the beautiful birds. We've got a kangaroo that runs down our driveway now and then. But even if you're doing those very simple things, that actually is success, because it's actually your purpose. You feel your heart, you feel your purpose. If that makes your heart happy, then that is your purpose. You know?
Beautiful. Yeah. So yeah.
No. So that was the book, and also it's got chapters in here like like Nurse and Purse. Some of my contemporaries have lost their partners. So what do? Do they go dating again? Like, do you go onto Tinder or Bumble or what? I don't even know what these things are, but my young uns, you know, friends sort of tell me that this is around. And then what do? And you meet somebody and they want you to nurse them because they can't walk, or they need to get their tablets or something. or they think, oh, you've got some money, so maybe we'll latch onto you because you can help. So it's things like that. These are all situations that happen when you're older.
And now you talk about the things that are in there. Now, since you've begun with talking about downsizing and about the this one that you just mentioned. Then you talk about exercise. Tell us about exercise.
About exercise.
Yeah.
Do you know, in my new book, I'll just show you the cover of the new book here. I'm now called A Senior, Stories from the Heart.
Okay.
There are many tips on how we can stay relevant and how we can stay healthy.
Yeah.
Now, we know that if we eat the foods that are good for us, salmon, blueberries, if it's olive oil rather than fats and fruit and vegetables, we know those.
Yeah.
As far as exercise is concerned, I know for myself that if I don't exercise, I feel foggy. I feel like a senior.
Okay.
So for me, I exercise and I ride a bike for half an hour, a stationary bike. Okay. Now, I love to ride the bike because I can read at the same time. But, how about going on, just for a little walk? Or if you're next to a beach, go for a simple walk. Some people, though, at our age are weightlifters. They do amazing things.
Yeah.
And then you get other people who are painful. Like my husband has a very sore knee. So he finds it difficult to exercise at the moment. So he stretches. He does a lot of stretching.
Okay.
And weight building in the arms type of thing. So exercise is very important.
And the reason I ask this is because I hear stories anyway. And one of the main causes of aging quickly is lack of body movement. I mean, someone, because now they are retired, they will just wake up and not really wake up, just stay there all day, just because they have nothing to do, they have nowhere to go, they have no friends to talk to, so they don't do anything. But here you can advise, you advise them that it's good to exercise, go for a walk, even if you don't have the friends that we are talking about, go ride a bike. And this will help you to keep in shape and stay healthy.
Yes, but it's also very good for your mental health.
Yeah.
I know just in this situation that we've been in, Sydney's been in lockdown for months. And eventually, we've had a few lockdowns and people start to wind down. They really start to get depressed and there's mental health issues. And it's a case of if you breathe and you get that oxygen going to your brain, you really do feel better. And even if you do go for a little walk, you bump into somebody who's walking a dog and you say hi, at least to see another human, so, or join a swimming aerobic class, that type of thing. And you meet other friends that are in the same position. It's very good for you.
And that's important. That's important. But Julie, being Julie, she has a verse, a chapter in the book that says, "I'm off to learn karate."
Oh, so you saw that.
Tell us about that.
Well, it actually was stimulated because we were walking along the beach one day, my husband and I, and it was sort of at dusk and late, and a whole group of young men came towards us.
Okay.
And this one guy turned around to my husband and said to him, "High five, Kodja," which is, old guy. Yeah. And we were a little bit confused because it all just sort of happened so fast and they surrounded us. And so we just carried on walking, and then the expletives that came out of their mouths, and they started like, "Oh, we're going to, you up." And we just continued walking. And I thought, if I knew, my little grandson who's 4 is learning that karate thing. I've forgotten what it's called, but it's
we have taekwondo, judo, we have all those.
Yes, one of those.
Such a group.
And he saw me this weekend and he said, "Gaga," he said, "I now know if somebody tries to catch me or hold me, I now know how to stop them." Yeah. So I said, teach Gaga, tell me what to do. Because it's not something that you would, there's a lot of aggression on the roads as well. Yeah. Because cars are bigger, and I got a small little car, which I've kept for years because I love it. And it's all battered and bruised, but it's family, so what can I do? And big cars try and, like bully you. And so I'm thinking, let's, if I knew what to do, I would like to have that in my repertoire.
That's wonderful. And so it's in your bucket list. I mean,
it's in my bucket list.
is I'm
Yes.
gonna do.
The 70-year-old
That's
black
beautiful.
belts.
And this is what we're asking all the seniors and all those who would be seniors. It's not a time to retire. It's a time to sign up for a karate class.
Absolutely.
Go there.
And you can always go. I mean, we went dancing, but the problem is after dancing is you've got to walk down the street and you are so stiff. So I tied that in with a lovely Thai restaurant that was underneath the dancing studio. Okay. So we'd go and dance and do all these swings and turns and then go and have a lovely Thai meal afterwards. So there we go.
Okay. Now you have a grandson that calls you Gaga, but some of us don't have a clue what is Gaga. Is it South African or Aussie?
It's sort of made up because they couldn't say names like Granny or Nana.
Okay.
But the sort of sound ga sounded better.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've become Gaga and Papa. And one of the chapters in my new book is called The Favorite Gaga and Papa. Okay. And what it is when we go to the beach and we hire one of these chaise longues for a day on the beach, all these young people come up and they ask if we can look after their bags. And we say, because we look old and we look honest and responsible. So we have this whole storage thing of young people's bags all around us. And then we can't get off our chaise longues to go and swim because now we feel responsible for all these bags. Yeah. So one of the chapters talks about that in the new book.
Oh, beautiful. And I like the fact that you're talking about going to the beach. Okay, you've been there, you've done that, you've been successful in South Africa, you've been successful in Australia, but somewhere along the line you told about about closing your business abruptly, not maybe making quite much from it. How do you make to go on economically and experience the life that you're experiencing right now, if you would care to tell us a bit?
Of course. It was actually a real shock.
Okay.
Because we had worked very, very hard.
Yeah.
But when you work hard, you need to play hard, because otherwise, if you don't reward yourself, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to reward yourself and you've got to give back.
Okay.
You've got to give back to society for people who have less than you. Yeah. And all of that is just this whole package. And so it was it was really tricky in the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's why this author business started. But then not only that, I see this as there's a couple of things. First of all, there are a lot of seniors who want to write a book. Mm-hmm. So my next book will be, I'm now called a senior and I want to write a book because I've got the knowledge now. Yeah. So there will be a course that I can actually teach people how to actually write it as a senior, because it's not as easy as the courses we learn. They're different things. We need to learn how to use a computer first. Mm-hmm. Because if we can't do that, we're going to be writing longhand and we can't do that. So that's the first thing. It's things like that. It's that type of thing. We also have programs. We still do a sampling program, but it's actually online. Okay. I.e., if somebody wants to sample the product, we can get it into their hands, and we do it via different outlets. Okay. And we work with people like that. So we're still relevant. You need to do that, and then we work out how to work the cryptocurrency market. Now that's a new word for seniors. How do you do cryptos?
There's quite much to learn along the way, and I like the fact that you have dreams and big dreams yet. Yeah. So they're gonna learn crypto. They're gonna learn about everything that is coming. And now just before they've learned crypto, a new word comes up. Metaverse.
You don't know what it.
Metaverse.
Oh, what's Metaverse? What are they? Oh, that's a new one. I've got to learn that now. You see, it's like another hashtag.
Yeah, it's Facebook has changed into Metaverse. Where
of course, of course, I forgot about that. That's right.
Yeah, that's Metaverse. So you've got to remember that. And I like the fact that you still have got some big dreams along the way. You know something that have inspired me in the recent past has always inspired me, but it still continues to inspire. is that when you have a friend, no, not really a friend, so to say, when you have someone out there that you're watching, and then he's in his 70s, he's in his 80s, and then he tells you, this is the right time to chase the biggest job in the country. So you've got a president sitting in at his 80th.
No. Well, I really laugh at that, because my daughter says to me when I said, oh, I feel so old today. Yeah. She says, Mum, the president of the United States is 80. Yeah, what do you mean?
He's 80. So he's yes. not retired. He's not expired yet. He's still inspiring. Now it's a big inspiration. And this is a great, this is a big message to everyone out there who's feeling old, or who is fearing to get old someday. I mean, whatever age that you are, if you're in your 50s, your 60s, this is the right time to do that big thing that you've always dreamt of. And this is the right time to dream the biggest dream that you have ever dreamt.
Absolutely. And you know what's so lovely is that if you muck it all up, you just say, I'm old. And you start again. You try the next thing. It doesn't matter. Because when you were young, you were fearful of making mistakes and making a fool of yourself. But now it doesn't worry you as much. Oh, you just say, well, I've made a mistake.
It's good to hear that from someone who's got the experience. So at that point, I will not need to fear anything. I mean, whatever happens, happens.
Yes, whatever happens.
No, good, but beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I really love this. Now, in your book, and it's good that you've mentioned this, where it comes to a point where you don't really care about what you say or do because you're old anyway. In your book, you discuss a very sensitive issue that many don't like hearing about or talking about, but then nobody's gonna avoid that. Yes. Nobody's gonna avoid that. So what is the topic? Tell us and explain to us. Yeah.
That's probably like, what happens when you die? Yeah. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one. I mean, there's no other. Nobody likes talking about death. I mean, when I'm gonna die or when my spouse is gonna. Nobody likes talking about that, and that is something that we can never avoid. We may die in our young age, or we may die in our 100, like or 90s, like my dad. My dad went to be with the Lord at his 91st birthday. I mean, he'd done 91. So, but I like the fact that he was talking about it freely.
Yes, I think, when you think about this nothingness that could happen when you die, it can actually make you really frightened. And that's why, for me, and of course it's different for everybody, they've all got their own opinions, and of course that's absolutely fine. But for me, if I didn't have a faith, I would find it very difficult to be relevant right here. I think I talk it sort of like bookending infinity. You have a start and you know when that start is, but you never know when that end is going to be. And if you better make this little bit that's between the bookends very good if that's going to be it at the end of it. And I truly believe that it's not going to be it. We try and bring up our children with a faith. Obviously, they've got their own choices and they like to discover all different faiths. And it's important to learn about everybody's different faiths. Because sometimes we're very dogmatic in ours, but we don't realize that there's everything. And, we've been to Jerusalem a number of times. And you sit in the Garden of Gethsemane and you actually look and you actually see Church of the Holy Nazareth, I think it is now, I'm just gone all blank now, and the Wailing Wall and the Dome and the Rock all in one line. And those are all those three major faiths. And we were sitting there one day and the sun just came down on all three. And I thought, you know what, in the end, we're all going to be the same, but we've got to, if we have that faith, it just makes life on earth easier. I think.
Yeah.
It makes you more at peace. It
Mm-hmm.
makes you feel somebody's got this. When you haven't got it, somebody else has got it.
Yeah.
And that's important. That's important to me.
Uh-huh.
And it's always stood me in good stead in the decisions that I've made in life. Yeah.
And I agree with you, because my father was a person of faith. So he would always tell us, my father has a place for me up there, and I've done his work. He was a person of great faith. He served in the church, and he said, I've done my work and completed my work. I'm only waiting for him to come and take me back home. So
isn't that wonderful?
With that confidence, when you're fearing nothing ahead of you, you can do anything. And in actual fact, let me take this opportunity to talk more about my dad, because he really inspired me. And my dad used to work really hard, wake up before any one of us, and work even when all of us have left the garden. He had gone back to the village when he retired, and that's where so he would work very hard, and we used to tell him, hey Dad, can you tone down on your work a bit? And he told us, no, there's one thing I don't want. I don't want the person who is going to read my eulogy to be identified as a liar. I want that when the person that reads my eulogy says that he has rested, it be true, because he was working.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that amazing? That is amazing.
He's a great inspiration. He was a great inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, well, my grandfather came from England to Africa as a missionary doctor.
Okay.
So he was a minister, but he was also a doctor.
Well,
so that was all the background, of that as well.
Yeah.
And I just feel sometimes it's crazy. I talk about it. Sometimes these birds come and they sit. When my father died, my mom said, and I wasn't in Africa when he died, I was here.
Okay.
But flew back afterwards.
Okay.
But a bird tapped on the window like the whole time when he was actually dying, and when he actually died, the bird flew away.
Oh.
And the same thing when my mum died and I was in Africa, and it was pouring with rain. It was a big thunderstorm, and this bird outside was saying, Julie, I'm here. I could hear it. Julie, I'm here. And now I've got this thing about birds, because we look out of our window and these beautiful birds that are, you get these rosellas, which are birds in Australia, and they always travel in twos. They always seem to be two of them everywhere. There's never one, there's always two.
Okay.
And one day, two just came and sat on my windowsill.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, hello, birds. And they're wild. They shouldn't be doing that. And I thought, I wonder if that's the spirit of my mom and dad. That's just weird. My mind just thinks weird things sometimes.
I understand. Yeah, and we've got so many experiences. But before we go, we have so much to do, as we say, and as Julie tells us, that being called a senior does not mean that all is done. And as you can see, Julie has written a book, 2 books, and now she has got a line of books that she wants to write before she expires. Now, you, the viewer, why do you want to give up so soon when you've got so much ahead of you and you don't have to fear anything? Just buy these books, read them, and get to be prepared, if you're not there yet, to live well. But before even we go, we've got to give back. And this is what I'm trying to say. We've got to give back to the society that has given unto us. And Julie is a great example. And I'm going to talk here briefly about what Julie is leaving behind. Now, for those of you who may not know Julie, I didn't know Julie much before, but I came to discover that Julie is the mother of a movie star or a TV star, some called Tamin Sursok. And she's been on different shows. She's a musician. And she's said it's a beautiful thing in one of her songs. Now, isn't it a beautiful thing to grow old and see your young ones taking up with greatness and being great and doing great things and taking after you, and you observing that whatever you did in life to prepare them for this life, they are really doing it right. That's wonderful, Julie. We really appreciate you for your work. The one,
Oh, thank you.
what you're doing right now, and we also believe what you're going to do in the future.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. That's awesome. I'm very proud of my daughter. We are a very close, strong family.
Yeah.
We've always been there as a supporter of her work.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited because she's in Australia and I'll be able to see her after the 17th of December when our borders open. So Mama's coming.
Yeah. So Tamin Sursok has been in Home Away as Danny Sutherland. She's been on The Young and the Restless as Colin Carlton. And she's been on The Pretty Little Liars as Jenna Marshall. For those of you who don't know who is Tamin Sursok. Yeah. So this is beautiful. I love this.
Oh, thank you. She has too, and she's been in this industry since she was 14.
Okay.
So of course we needed to, as protective parents, we were always there with her.
Yeah.
She flew to Sweden to record a song for the weekend.
Okay.
And she was going to fly on her own. So who goes with her? My husband. He gets on the plane with her and off they go. And it's been a wonderful industry for her.
Yeah.
And we're very proud of her. And I just opened a magazine today, actually, and there she was, a whole 4-page article.
She's everywhere. She's everywhere now. And it's such a beautiful. So, but we see now, it's good that we see you now because we see her. We don't know where she came from. Now we can identify that where she came from is much more stronger than what we see.
Well, you get to know the whole family now.
Now we get to know the whole family. The Gaga and Papa.
Gaga and Papa, that's the one.
Waiting to meet Papa someday soon.
Yes, of course.
So, Julie, it's been such a wonderful thing having you on our show. And the books, show them to us once again before you go.
Yes. There we go. So there's my latest one.
Yes.
It's probably upside down because you showed on the screen.
It's okay.
And there's the first one there, and they're available on Amazon all around the world.
Yeah.
All bookstores online. If you go online, you can order them.
Yeah.
I have a website, so I'm developing. It's called www.imnowcalledasenior.com.
Okay.
I have an Instagram page, and I love Instagram because you can pop all kinds of things in there, called I'm Now Called a Senior.
Yeah.
And a Facebook page, I'm Now Called a Senior. And I've got a workout Twitter. I haven't worked out Twitter yet, but I've got all those other ones, and you can get the book there. And in fact, today, which is on Cyber Monday, if you order from the website, but unfortunately it's just in Australia, the book is $20 today. So there's my plug.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And have you done TikTok?
Oh, do you know, my husband is very funny. He's really, really funny.
Yeah.
And Taman keeps on saying, you know, because he's called, in my books, he's called Co-Senior.
Yeah.
He's a brand of his own.
Okay.
But he's really, really funny.
Yeah.
So what we're planning to do, there are a lot of products that seniors need.
Okay.
And he could, you know, in the old days, there used to be, I say the old days, but there used to be somebody called the Gadget Man in Australia.
Yeah.
Well, he can be the senior Gadget Man.
Yeah.
So these gloves that stop arthritis and these things that pick up things and open jars. So yes, he's so TikTok was I've got a TikTok account.
Okay.
But I need to develop it.
I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. But before we go, we'd like to hear a word or two that you're gonna leave us with, something that we're gonna remember you always with. Go ahead.
Oh, always with. Well, I think, you know, retirement is not the end of life.
Yeah.
It's actually the start of a new beginning. So I reckon, as I said before, you know, you've got to chase your passion, not your pension. And it's a time to observe. It's time to grow. It's time still to learn, and it's time to love, and then it's time to just give it all back. I'd say that's what you've got to take away.
Beautiful, 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 Julie. It's been quite an honor having you as my guest on this show. And we really appreciate all that you've shared with us. And now you've given me the picture that I've got my whole life ahead of me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And I believe also to the person who's seeing this, you've got something great from this. But don't forget to go and buy those books.
Oh, you're awesome. Thank you so much, Anthony.
You're welcome. So this is Anthony, your host on Book Talk, telling you bye. Bye for now.
Bye.